finally done with Hexane. Let's talk Sparta Remix collabs. How you kids doing? So we hit 100 likes on the previous face video, and I've made a grand total of $1.70 on it, so thank you for fueling my alcoholism. There was a lot of feedback on the previous video, so thank you for talking and giving your thoughts. I promise I will release a start to finish tutorial on how to make good visuals eventually. I am still drafting out a script for you guys. Real quick, I just want to address some of the points I was hearing.
They gotta learn the hard way.
Basically, this point boils down to tutorials, leading to less innovation in styles. I believe that making remixes is like learning how to play an instrument. You need to develop an internal rhythm and muscle memory before you can start adding your own pizzazz. Same thing here. Nobody really cares about your new vibrato or cool new autotune method if the rest of your samples don't sound great. No disrespect to the Vegas only people, but get with the times. People who've had a hard time getting good. Look, nobody said getting good was easy. It's really hard to become one of the greats. Otherwise, everyone would be great, which means no one is. Best way to get good at this, like any skill, is that you need to pump out a huge number of remixes. I'm talking like one a week if you want to rise to the ranks of the legends. As for me personally, I don't have that kind of time anymore. I'm a working adult, so my free time is super limited. I used to be pretty good back in my day, but now I consider myself pretty mediocre because how the genre has progressed so quickly. Money. Yes, this is a bit of a controversial point. I will admit I was exaggerating in the previous video about only doing this for the money. I did make about $1,000 over the course of my 10-year career on remixing, but honestly, most of the videos have only made me like $10 to $20 each. It's something, but my actual job is what keeps the lights on, not funny music video. So I'm just giving that for some perspective. I don't expect everyone to be happy with it, but regardless, that's just a small financial incentive I take. Cool, so now let's talk about collabs. So I had a scary message ending the previous video on, and let me explain. So when I joined the scene, collabs were pretty casual, just a group of dudes making 8-second sections of a song and jamming them all together. It was cool and all, but I noticed that there were a lot of collabs which would run into a specific issue, where maybe 1 or 2 parts would get finished, the host would lose interest, and cancel the whole thing, which I thought was low-key disrespectful for the 1 or 2 or sometimes several people who made a full part. So, if I was going to do this, I was going to run this like a sweatshop. Strict deadlines, free labor, exploding children. Wait, I had a plan, but honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. So, honestly, I owe most of my early successes to Vince. Quick sidetrack, there's one reason I'm not super involved with the rest of the community. I don't get your humor, and I will not elaborate.
Huh?
I just don't get it. It's like I was the old dude trying to insert myself into a bunch of middle schoolers. Wait. Luckily, Vince did get the humor, and I think that's what kept the motivation up. He was able to play into that. So Vince, if you're watching this, thank you, man. And Bombden was a huge success, so I pulled a Hollywood and said, fuck it, let's make a sequel. RBS was getting pretty popular, let's do that. More people, more parts, more stress, massive success. And after finishing the second, I was legally obligated to turn it into a trilogy. Emergence was one of the hardest projects I was ever a part of, but also the most rewarding. To this day, I consider that the pinnacle of the early 2020s. Okay, so where am I going with this? I just want to talk about why having too many ambitious collabs isn't good for the community, and why you shouldn't host one. I think a big issue that I triggered was the fact that there's too many high-octane collabs happening at once, or in short succession. People are going to get burned out. I mean, it's fun to make a collab part once in a while, but once you have 3 high-effort collabs happening at once, the quality of them all take a hit. From my perspective as a participant, I'd rather channel all my ideas and energy into one high-effort part rather than try to spread them out over 3 mediocre parts. Am I saying that I should be the only one hosting these collabs and nobody else should? No. But I am asking that everyone just be a little bit more conscientious before they start hosting. One of the things I didn't like about Hexane was the fact that I was kind of pressured into hosting it toward the end of the year. And I already knew that send-off was in full swing already. And that's when I saw that exact issue coming up. Because although Hexane was really good, I saw that people weren't outputting their best because they had to split that effort with send-off. Which is on me for starting my project at one of the worst times of the year. But this is also a primary reason why I think the spring and the summer is the best time to host. It gives people recovery time from send-off, and also gives them a buffer for the next years. But back to the too many collabs issue. I don't think there's a simple solution to this problem, since I'm essentially asking people to gatekeep hosting. And I could tell you my personal solution to this, but it's kind of spicy. Alright, so this is the part of the video where I give you my full degenerate opinion. Just to preface, everything from this point on is my own opinion on what makes a good collab, and my criteria in joining. This is going to cause some controversy, but here we go. First things first, whenever I get an invitation to a collab from someone, or I'm deciding who to co-host or add to my team, there's a couple of questions I ask about them. First of all, some of the basics. Are they active, or are they prone to disappear for long periods of times? Do they have a habit of canceling collaborations? Do they communicate frequently and clearly? What I mean by that is, do they say, hey, you should get your part done, versus, so we have the audio deadline due in 2 weeks. Please send your progress to the designated channel so we can mark you done for that sprint. This also requires them to be harsh and set deadlines. This is what I think is what I do well that nobody really wants to do. I don't care too much if everyone in the community respects me. I just care that the people I respect also respect me back. If there's someone who's going to be giving radio silence or tons of excuses, I'll try talking to them a few times to try to figure out what's going on or if we can come up with a plan. But after that, they're out. On to the next backup. And I don't like to do that. It sucks, especially if the guy you're kicking out is a good friend of yours. But 15 people should not be waiting on one person just because he's lazy. It's disrespectful to me, it's disrespectful to my co-leads, and it's disrespectful for everybody else participating. So my philosophy is be reasonable, but strict. Being charismatic and technically skilled as well is also important, but I wouldn't say it would be a core value. Will the person you will be working for or with for the next several months be a troublemaker? There's enough drama going on in the public servers. I don't need someone spewing their guts about their life story in a professional collaboration server. Maybe it's not as apparent as that, but let me explain my reasoning. If you have someone who tends to cause problems and who is not on good terms with many of the people you are working with, you should also remember that any drama that starts will seriously hurt morale, which is one of the biggest killers of collaboration quality. When there's beef happening, it turns what could have been a perfect stellar project into something mediocre. People have disagreed with me on this point a lot. A lot of the send-off hosts were not happy that I told them this was one of the selection criteria. People believe it's a lot more important to be objective when it comes to how skilled or talented a person might be. Listen, I'm just human, and even if I were the most objective and logical person ever, there are a dozen other people who you're working with who aren't. And it's not right to expect them to think similarly to you as well. And when they're thinking, half the people here want to leave because of this one individual, it means that they won't want to put in effort into something that'll be mediocre. Inspire them or yell at them all you want. Once that gloom hangs over your project, it may as well be dead. This isn't just a specific thing with collaborations either. This also applies to all aspects of life. People generally work better with people they like, and one bad apple can ruin the mood for the group. This also leads me to another very important aspect of collaboration hosting. Even if you forget everything that I say, the biggest and most important, crucial part of making a good collaboration is your reputation. What is your reputation? It consists of two things. You have to be consistent and you have to be popular. The first part is very attainable by everybody, but it's not easy. Ensure that you finish every single project that you start. One of the biggest things that pissed me off was that half the people would finish their collab parts and the host would just say, "This is canceled now, bye." It pisses me off every time I see a canceled part uploaded to YouTube. Make sure you don't do that. And if you don't, you're already better than 80% of the people in this community. And you might ask yourself, what if people drop from my project? Or what if I feel depressed and don't want to do it anymore? As for the first part, then consolidate parts. You take on 2 parts. Ask somebody else to take on 2 parts. Ask your grandmother to help you out. Get it done by whatever means necessary. As for the second, if you're willing to give up when the going gets tough, I hate to break it to you, but hosting collaborations isn't for you then. Make it a habit to pump out consistent quality, and I guarantee you that once you get the ball rolling, everyone will be clamoring to be a part of your next project. Fortunately, the other magic sauce I mentioned about popularity. It's not easy. People naturally gravitate toward people who output amazing content, or people who are funny, or in my case, people who drink. I'm sorry to say it, but pretty much every single high-effort collaboration I've seen in this community is always hosted by a big popular name. Gary, Nathan, Lily, Alice. They're going to get good people because they're all pretty well known and they're consistent. You're not going to get any participants as a nobody. I was a nobody for years, and then I got lucky. There's no magic trick for this one, unfortunately. Honestly, being really skilled helps, as people will naturally want to gravitate toward you and learn your tricks and secrets, but if they don't like you, they won't want to work with you. All I can say is, don't be a dick. You'd be surprised how many people here don't follow that advice. Am I going to quit forever? Maybe not, but definitely taking a break from hosting collaborations for at least a few years. I'm hosting one last one, then I'm done. I'm going to be honest, it's stressful. I've lost sleep. I've gone into a few heated arguments. The way I can put it is this. When you're trying to draw out art from people like I do, you see the best that people can produce, but you also see all the ugly that goes into that. Anyways, thank you all for 5,000 subscribers. I will be live streaming sometime soon in the future for a Q&A. Feel free to leave your comments in the community post or in this Google form, and I may or may not answer it. I will also be taking questions from the live stream chat, but that's much less likely. Alright, that's a wrap.